I need to circle back on, it feels like two things, but one I'm aware of, the second one we'll see what they say. The first one is that whole authority thing and like power and like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You can't, sorry, I'm gonna put my phone in. You can't pretend there's no structure or form to the world, right? Like that is existing in delusion. It is true that there is vast mysteriousness to this universe, but there is tangible reality. Like this table is a table. It's hard when I knock on it. Yes, it's true that this table is just atoms. If I could figure out how to alter the concept of these atoms, maybe I could pass my hand through the table, right? Yes, but regardless, when I knock, this table makes a sound. That is 3D reality. So spiritual authority, yes, that is a thing where you recognize that you're empowered and that there's all these narratives in society, and you're now breaking through or evolving past those narratives to see yourself as a creator being or as a being of autonomy, right? That's connected to spirit. There's no intermediary. There's no church. There's no priest. There's no Buddhist monk that stands between you and the universe. And your job, your work is to make that connection, that clarity between you and the universe, you and God, you and whoever it is, as direct and crystal clear as you can. Now, yes, you have rights. Yes, as a being alive. When you become aware that those rights have been encroached on, that reaction that happens with some people, because it's not all people, there's lots of people in spirituality who understand everything I'm saying. They may, I don't know, maybe they're saying it also, maybe they're not saying it, but when it becomes like everything is bad, everything is evil, you're creating a whole new narrative where you are still the victim, where you think like, it's like you're not empowering yourself. You're reaffirming that victim mentality, actually, because you're now saying all these things that are against you. And it's true that people have interest and people are doing these things. Again, when you're able to hold nuance, you can hold the truth and still use your energy for creation. Instead of getting trapped in that narrative and playing out a cycle of, oh, poor me, or they're against me, or they, right? And there is sometimes a they. But the point is, we're here regardless. This table is hard regardless. So how do I transform what is on the table? Like, groundedness with the openness and the flexibility of being connected is so important. Otherwise, again, you're cosplaying. And maybe, okay, because they're like saying everything that's easy for some people is not easy for all people, and I totally get that. But like, we've got to do better, because if you can't be grounded in any way, how are you ever going to affect any sort of change? If you can't even do the work to overcome your own mind and that narrative, how are you ever going to make use of yourself with your energy, or yourself with the collective, or transform anything? You're sitting in this tar pit of whatever it is, and you're not creating anything. You are perpetuating, you're staying in an energy field. Like, I don't know. I need to think of a way to use an example without specifically naming someone. Hold on. So it like boils down to capacity. Like the whole point of you raising your consciousness, your level of awakening, awareness, is so your capacity is expanded, so you can not only experience more for yourself individually, but you can create more, input more, and also energetically from source itself, funnel in more of the actual pure, like, and I hate using the word pure, but you know what I mean, like aligned information that is useful to you and useful to other people, and to be able to make use of it in your life because you're actually doing this work with yourself. We can't fix everything at once. Example, right? This is a plastic water bottle. I don't manufacture water bottles. I could buy glass water bottles. Well, again, right? Okay, what if I can't afford those glass water bottles? So now am I evil? Am I good? It's like we have, like, there's things that we can't do. There's some things that are beyond our control. And I feel like in the spiritual community, we get so stuck on that. And then sometimes it becomes so annoying because you're spending all your time focusing on like, well, they use water bottles and they use dryer sheets, instead of focusing on how can I help raise consciousness for myself and others? How could I offer them awareness that I didn't have? And again, not everyone wants it. So it's not around going like, proselytizing? I forget what it's called. Where you're like preaching at people. It's not about that. It's about people wanting to make those changes reasonably how they can. The reality is I can't snap and make everything perfect. So we've got to move out of that perfection thinking in general in spirituality. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're going to have to find a way to make it work. But if you're so focused on a perfect solution, we'll never accomplish anything. Nothing will ever change. And your beliefs radiate like a radio frequency into the collective consciousness, the collective unconscious, collective consciousness. The least you can do as a being for yourself, just purely selfish reasons, or if you care about other people, for other people, is work on your own vibration, work on your own clarity, work on your own growth, work on being a person who, when you encounter, when your energy enters places, spaces, rooms, conversations, your energy offers either neutrality or a bump up. You are elevating a situation because you have the capacity, awareness, skills, tools, practice to elevate things. Because if not, then what are you doing? Because if you're coming in and you're just tanking someone, right, and you come in and tell them, well, you using plastic water bottle, and it's like all this like judgment, shame, anger, which you're now projecting onto someone else, which again, they're making choices within a limited scope, just like you are, within their means, within their realities, within what's tangible for them, making them feel bad about those things, or trying to tell them that they're like, they shouldn't feel this way or think this way, in terms of like what's realistic for their life. That helps no one. It helps nothing. And then is your presence now a neutral or elevating, or is it deflating? So hold on, I feel like I'm losing my point, but it's like if someone brings something up and they're not asking you to directly make changes or spend your money, they're just asking you to think about something or witness something or be aware of something, because most of this stuff comes up interpersonally first. And then it's like, some people will be like, well, I don't have time to think about that, or I don't have time to feel like that, or but then they want the cookie. They want to feel like a good person. They want to feel like they're doing good. They want to absolve themselves. But you can't say you're doing this work and then absolve yourself. You got to challenge yourself, or don't do the work. That's okay too. Or be like, it's just like this, like defensiveness and also reactivity. Like when you start to step into awareness, you start to respond to things, you start to reflect on things, you start to create space and boundaries and say, I'm not sure, or I'm feeling this is conflicting for me. I'm actually not sure, and I need to think about it and get back to you. But it's like that response, that like attack response that, it feels natural, or it's been natural, whatever it is. We're trying to change all of these ways of existing in society, right? It's very challenging when you're awaking. Also, for the record, I choose Fiji because I started drinking natural source water when I went through a water phase where I was like, where does our water come from? You start to think differently about things, the structure of society, macrocosm parts of your microcosm life. But before anything can change in physical reality, it has to change in our hearts and minds. Form takes form from our internal lives, our collective internal lives. I haven't finished reading Seth's book on mass consciousness and events. I need to, because we have our own vibrational frequency that sets our life up in a certain way so that we experience certain things, right? But we also have that collectively, and I'm not 100% clear on exactly how it works collectively. Again, I'm not claiming to have any or all the answers, but I do know that it doesn't matter if we never change our frequency. Confirmation, but if we never work out the kinks in our own vibration and frequency, then it's like we become a discordant sound. And it's like our whole life is a game of trying to become a harmonized sound, right? Like those tuning forks. So if we come back to ourselves and refocus on how we can be better and show up in different moments, and that's not to say like when we turn like being vegan or recycling into an individual problem, there's things that need to be mass solved. They need to be solved collectively. But there are other things, like we have to change our own hearts and minds first. We have to challenge the things in us that are being reflected in the world around us. We can't exist here without something tying us to this place. What, you would have been born in a different solar system, you wouldn't be seeing my face, we wouldn't be these beings, like so it's like we can't divorce ourselves from the external reality. And I get it, it's like tiresome work, right, to be conscious. It's not easy, but that's where grace comes in for ourselves and for others. But more than anything, we can't have freedom without that accountability or grace, right? Like if we really wanted to get to like a state where people weren't being regular, didn't need to, that would require radical accountability from all of us. So if we can't even have that, how could we imagine having this freedom? So taking the narrative of throwing the baby out with the bathwater of the government, all these things, and playing this victim means nothing if we don't actually have the autonomy or responsibility or accountability to even have the thing that we're saying we want.